how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Airport CEO, and welcome back to Belfast International Airport, where things are going exceptionally well. Despite the fact that we spent $3 million in the last episode unlocking all of this, all of the rest of the map, we currently have $4.2 million because this airport is making an absolute ton of money. If we look at the economy, yesterday we did $856,000. Today we have done $458,000. I almost said 5 for some reason there. That's why I said 4 in sort of a weird way. We've got $458,000 so far today, with an average over the last 12 days of $364,000. So we're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well, and I've been a little bit busy between episodes. I haven't done too much, but I decided to come out here and just decorate a lot of this space. I decided to move our contractors down to here. I've put a bunch of gates on the fences because it was taking them forever to go and do anything. And, well, I have a bit of an idea for what I would like to do today. So as it stands at the moment, we're doing really well with flights. We have 153 coming in today. We have 152 tomorrow. And something that I'm noticing is that a lot of the airlines are the same airlines. We have a lot of Olympus flights coming in here, a lot of Maple, a lot of OK Air, and admittedly some of those are with OK Vintage and some are with the normal one. Same with Maple. We have some regular Maple ones up here. We have Maple Vintage down here. What I would like to do is something that we've played with in the past, which is to give an airline its own stand at the airport, and we're basically going to create sort of a hub airport for a specific airline. And I'm thinking that that could be Olympus organization, because it's a pretty good airline. It's got a pretty cool looking logo. I do like Crown Airlines, but I'm thinking Olympus. And I'm thinking Olympus because if we go and have a look in here, we actually have quite a few more flights that can be scheduled from that company. So that sort of makes the most sense to me. Now, what I would like to do is close this stand, thus canceling all the flights, reopen it, and that basically clears that stand of any future flights that were scheduled, which means that we should see the flight planner figure this out. We should see the flight planner go, hey, let's put a bunch of Olympus flights on that stand. I'm also going to bring the minimum flight separation down to 15 minutes because I've chosen violence today. And that's honestly not the only thing I want to do today. That really wouldn't make for much of an episode, right? Like 3 minutes in, I'm like, well, we've changed the stand. See you next time. Bye. What I'd like to do is build them some kind of airline lounge. I think that would make a lot of sense. And I think that would be pretty cool. And I want to build it up here, looking out at all of the smaller aircraft. And so the way I'm going to do this is basically build myself a nice big chunk of terminal foundation. I don't think I'm going to need all of this space. I don't think it's going to be an 8x8 lounge, but I would like this space. In fact, I want to go a little bit bigger is what I want to do, because I want to build something in here that looks cool, that functions in an interesting way. I want the door for this to be right about here because it's between the two seating areas, which I think is pretty cool. I want some bathrooms in here. I want a staff room in here, and I might even do another shop in there. The restaurant is doing amazingly well. 600, almost 700 sales today. We're halfway through the day, so we could probably put a little restaurant or a little shop in this space. But the main thing I want to do is build this for an airline lounge. So in doing that, I suppose we should take a little bit of a look and see what we can do. I've also completely forgotten. There it is. That's the button for airline lounges. That's good. We got there. So this is, I guess, going to be all of this space is what I'm thinking. This also needs to be a secure zone because of course it does. So we'll get that set up nicely like this. And you know, I almost want to say that we want windows across the entire front of this. So we'll do a nice big window there. We'll do a nice big window there. That gives us a little space in the middle. Can I put a little window in there? Unfortunately, no. It would have been nice if I could, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case. So you know what? We'll come up with something that can live in that space and not worry too much about it. As for the lounge itself, let's just make this thing pretty decently sized. Let's go 31 by I want to go 31 by 19 is what I'm thinking for this. And I'm also hoping that what I can do now is go in here and yeah, I can put some walls in here. I can sort of separate things a little bit. That's kind of what I want to do. I also want to have a look and see what we need because we will need a desk like this for people to get in here. So let's really play with this. Let's have a lot of fun with this and figure out how exactly this is going to work because I'm not 100% sure what way I want to do this, but I want it to look fancy. I want it to look cool. I want it to look interesting. So this desk is going to go up here. And then I think we're going to bring some walls around this space. I do want a door in here. I think that's important to me. I think a door right there would look kind of interesting. I want a gap on this side of this desk. So it's going to come down to about here. And that seems fine. We can put the door for this entire space. I really wish this game would stop flashing at me. The door for this space can be down here. So you walk straight to the desk and then around to get into the lounge itself, which is going to be all of this space, which is maybe a little bit much, but I'm fairly sure I can make that work. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a nice large door for the front here and a large door right back there. And we can also most likely throw some seating in here so that people can chill while they're waiting to get into the lounge, which I think in this case, we want to do modern seating, right? That's 100% what we want. So we'll do some modern seating here and here, and that seems fine. We can do a little table in front of them, and we can do a little, let's see, let's go for, I think a little fern in that corner is going to be a nice little touch. And I also think a couple of buffet tables right here seems like a really good idea. And then we can just go in with seating. That's about the only thing we'd really need to worry about. I'm kind of thinking modular could be kind of fun for this space. So maybe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across here. What way do I want to do this is going to be the real question. I think we could maybe do 2 right here. We'll leave a gap of 2 in the middle, which is maybe not going to look that great, but we'll leave a gap of 2 regardless. Maybe a plant in between them or something, or just a gap of 2 might be completely fine. We can do a couple of square tables just in front of all of these. And then we technically need actual chairs to be on the other side of these. So a little something like that seems okay. I think that'll be nice for like a little seating area for some of the food, not all of it, but just some of it. And then for the rest of this, I want to do armchairs in front of the windows. I'm a really big fan of armchairs in front of the windows at airports. It's just a really cozy vibe. So I think what we'll do is maybe something like this. I know this gap in the middle is bigger, but again, my thinking is to put some plants between these chairs. And I think that would make the most sense to give you a little bit more privacy in the lounge, a little bit more space between you and the person behind you. Just seems like a good idea. So I think that's what we're going to do. Something like that across the board should be fine. Still a pretty big empty space in here, but that's something we can totally work with. We'll get these tables in here to start with, just across all of this space, making sure that I'm not putting them in the wrong spots, which it doesn't look like I have. And then I guess in here, let's see what we're working with. I could just do a hedge down the middle to separate the entire space, but that seems like it would take up, that seems like it's going to take up a lot of space. But now that I think about it, if I did a hedge, I mean, this doesn't make sense because it's blocking the door, but if I did it here, and if I did it, say, here, we can get some smaller seating areas in here. And I think that would be a pretty good thing to do because we can turn them sort of this way around. Admittedly, I don't know if I want a big table here. So maybe we only get these smaller seating areas here at sort of the end of these hedge sections. I'm kind of okay with that. We can maybe do some decorations here. We could do some laptop tables here if we really wanted to, which I don't know if they're going to get used, but I'm not against putting some laptop tables in there. So let's do some laptop tables is what we're going to do. And you know, I've got to say this looks a little bit more cluttered than I think I would have liked. I don't know that I love this layout. I think it's this part that I don't necessarily adore. I think this could be a little bit better. but I think we're just sort of gonna keep it for now because I don't know how many people are gonna use this lounge, and I don't necessarily want to, I don't want to spend forever working on this thing. I think it should be, it's just a little airline lounge. That's all it is. It's just a little airline lounge. It doesn't need to be huge. We are going to set this up for Olympus organization though, which means this thing is technically up and running and we should have some people coming through here. So let's start getting some carpets in here. Now, Olympus is a company that uses orange in a lot of their branding. So I think we'll do the same. And then I think what I'd like to do is get some wood floors in here. And I'm kind of inclined to go with this darker wood, which I'm pretty sure we've probably used for Olympus before. But the question is, do I want to line the entire place in orange carpet? Or do I want to do something like that? It kind of works. It definitely sort of works to have the, I don't know. I don't hate this, to be honest. I don't. I think it could look better. But at the very least, we do have people coming through here, and that's kind of cool. So hopefully that makes that specific airline a little bit happier. And we can take a look, and we can see that as of tomorrow, we have back-to-back Olympus flights on that stand, which is what I was looking for. We have no more flights being offered by Olympus either, which is actually really good because it means that they are, you know, maxed out on this stand, and probably, yeah, there's a few others coming through as well. I think once those other flights get cleared up and, well, maybe we could get them another stand. I don't know. I don't know if we need to do that. I don't know if I want to do that yet, but we could probably get them another stand. I've also decided that I'd really like to start rebranding some of the stuff around here. So we're going to try our best to match that sort of orange color. And that's pretty close for Olympus organization. I think that's maybe a little bit lighter. I think that's about as good as we're going to get. So I'd like to save that color, and I'd like to go in and make sure that all the stuff on this stand is actually painted the right color for Olympus organization. I think that's pretty cool. And then in here, we're doing the same thing with all of the seating. It's all going to be orange, which might be a terrible idea, but we're going to see if we can make this work with a nice sort of orange set of seats and maybe some dark chairs. I really don't know. I probably haven't thought this through. I'm just going to paint everything as well because the paintbrush is getting kind of weird. So I just want to make sure all of the chairs are a nice shade of orange. And there we go. I think this will be perfect for the Olympus organization lounge. And I do think it might be a great idea to go down to this stand and say that it's also going to be set up for Olympus organization. I just think it's the right thing to do. And I think we want to cancel all flights in that stand and start moving the Olympus flights onto this one as quickly as we possibly can, which is also going to mean that I need to go in here and just paint all of the equipment on this stand that same shade of orange that we have for this one. I don't know about you, but I like the idea. I like the idea that we're a hub airport for the Olympus organization, because I do think they eventually have some huge flights that'll want to come through here. And so, I mean, in fairness, they're not going to be going to this stand specifically, but the idea being that we can start accepting some huge flights from Olympus organization, that seems kind of cool. And that seems like something I'd really like to do. I'd also like to go in here and start building out a little bit more in this space. I think we can do a tiny little staff room right here, and that just seems like a pretty solid idea. I'm thinking we could probably do a pair of bathrooms here, one that's accessible from the lounge and one that's accessible from not the lounge. So let's do a little something like this. We'll do the wall in the middle. And then to access this bathroom, I think we put a little cut right in here. So I think this goes away, and that's how we're getting in there. We'll take out these bits of wall here, and that's how you get into the bathroom from this side, and that should be totally fine. So a door right there and a door right there should be fantastic. This is going to be very simply a little staff room, because I think that kind of makes sense for that corner. And that leaves us a lot of space down here to build out some kind of shop if we really want to, which I don't know about you, but I kind of want to. I do like the idea of having a shop up here by the lounge. I think it's kind of cool. We don't need any more than just the 2 bathrooms. And this one's probably not going to get used because it's only accessible by the lounge. But I think it'll be kind of cool. So let's play around with the idea of getting a shop room in here. I can have this entire space be used for the shop. This entire space is not going to be for the shop though. I'm just doing this because I can have it sort of go around a corner here, which I want it to do because this is just going to be a little corridor, because that's all it needs to be. This is also going to get pulled back a little bit because I want this space either side of that door for the lounge. That's important to me. So that staff room is really going to be, it's going to be pretty small is what it's going to be, but that's fine. That's totally fine. They'll manage. Now, I will say the only annoying thing about what I'm doing here is that when this store is closed, this hallway is going to be dark as well. But this does give us a slightly larger footprint, and this is the only way that I know of that we can have a corner in the store. So this is just kind of what we're going to do. When it comes to counters, could I get a couple in here and have this look interesting? I actually can, which is pretty cool. And then I'm wondering, could I just make this like a staff only area? It sort of looks like I can get away with that. My next question is, could I go to restaurants and get this? No, it must be placed in a food room. Okay. I want to try, I'm gonna try something here. I would like to take out that door. Oh wait, no, if I demolish this room, I can't get it back. I'm wondering if I place a food room in here, could I have like counters come up to the walls to kind of separate this staff area so they have to use the entire corridor? But I guess that's probably a little bit unnecessary. We'll just keep that door and not worry too much about it. We can just set this entire space like I've done to a staff only area, and that should be fine. That'll mean the only people using that door should be staff, which I guess is okay. I think I'm fine with that. It gives us the entire floor here to play with as well, which is great. So in terms of shops, let's do some large counters. We'll do a nice big one in here, and we'll do a nice big one down here. We could do a few of these across the entire floor if we wanted to, and then maybe a little pedestal in the middle, maybe a couple of pedestals down at the ends as well. And then all along those walls, as much as I possibly can anyway, I want to do a whole bunch more shelves. So we'll do a bunch either side of this section, and the same on the other side. We can do a bunch down here as well, which I guess is totally fine. And that's immediately more than enough shelf space for any shop to be happy with this kind of contract. Although I'm realizing these guys aren't central, and that's kind of annoying me. So I'm going to do something about that, is what I'm going to do. We're going to go for the slightly smaller one, and it's going to live here, here, and here. And then the same story here, here, and here. That is now central, which is much better. And I don't know about you, but I think this works pretty well for this shop. Let's go ahead and see what contracts we can get here. We have everything up to 4 stars. So I think we'll go for, I mean, if we go for a 1 star, we're guaranteed to make the sales here, but I think we're going to go for this guy. We're going to go for pick and fly, and hopefully we're going to see people come in here and start using this shop. Hopefully we're going to get a good number of sales. There are a lot of people that come and go in this area, so here's hoping. Also, I swear this flight has been on the ground for a really long time. When were you supposed to, you were supposed to leave at midnight, and you've been sat there that entire time. Can I just dismiss you? It doesn't seem like it. That's okay. That's interesting. I might just need to save and reload to get rid of that flight. It might also be because Olympus organization has been assigned here that it's sort of gone weird. I'm not really too sure. This does happen from time to time, to be fair. The game does get a little bit odd, so we'll see what happens. I can dismiss it, but that's doing nothing. So yeah, we'll just repair that stand, I guess. And again, that's doing nothing. So this airline, I think, is just, or this aircraft, I should say, is just kind of stuck there right now. And that's okay. That's totally fine. You know, I almost completely forgot to put these bathrooms in here. I got so distracted by that one plane that won't leave. So I think what we'll do for this is just line this entire back wall in toilets. And then in here, we really don't need that many. We really don't need that many toilets. Do I want to do it anyway? Is the question I'm now sort of facing. I really don't think I need to, but I think I will, just because I can kind of get the rotational symmetry in here. And I guess that's what I care about. We'll do some sinks on this wall. We'll do some sinks on this wall. We'll do a couple there as well. I was going to do some urinals, but I don't think we need them. We can do some hand dryers in the corners just for a bit of fun, because that's apparently fun. And there we go. We've got those opened up. I'm really not sure this one's ever going to get used because it is only accessible through the lounge, but it makes sense to me that we would have a bathroom accessible through the lounge. I also used some different tiles to make it a little bit fancier. And I'm even inclined to say that we could make the toilets themselves on brand, although, you know what? Yeah, we're doing it. we're doing it. We're gonna make them on brand. In fact, make them dark is what we'll go for, because we had we have like the dark tables in here, so we'll make all of this sort of dark, I guess. Maybe some on-brand orange hand dryers is what we can go for. Yeah, that seems great. Wow, that's a lot of people in there. Okay. That was a little bit unexpected, but sure. I would love to see this one get used, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. I really have my doubts that anyone's gonna leave the lounge to go in here. I don't think, what the hell are you doing? Sir, that is the roof. What are, you are legitimately on the roof as well. That's not a bug. You're not underground. Where did you just go? Where did they just go? Oh, they're here now. Okay. Are you changing flight? What are you doing? You're going back through security. Okay. That's a hell of a way to get your connecting flight, but I respect it. I've had some really, really tight connections as well. I was going, what was it? I went from, where the hell did I go? Belfast to Amsterdam to Germany once. And I had like a 45-minute connection in Amsterdam. And that's a big airport. And I had to get from one side of it to the other. I'm not a running man. I'm not a sporty kind of person. And you know, I play video games a lot for a living. So to say that I like to sit at my desk and be comfortable is putting it mildly. This place has made 11 sales, by the way. That's really, really bad. I should have went with the 1-star contract. But yeah, to say that I'm not a sporty kind of person is putting it mildly. I've never ran faster in my life. Other than maybe the one time I nearly get stuck in Orlando, but that's a whole other story. That was, I think I've told it before, but I was flying back home from Orlando a few years ago, and I got to the airport and I see that my flight, I get a text that's like, hey, your flight's gonna be delayed. And I had a pretty narrow connection in Newark. I was like an hour connection. And so I go up to the guy and I'm like, hey, so my connection in Newark is pretty narrow. You guys sold me this flight, and that's to me with the expectation that I'm gonna be on it. What should I do here? Because I really don't want to, I'd rather be stranded in Orlando because I have family nearby than Newark because I don't. And he's like, well, you know, we can't control the weather, and unfortunately the delay is due to weather over Washington because we're gonna have to go out over the Atlantic and around a storm rather than through it. And I'm like, I understand you don't have divine powers to control the weather, but you not personally, but you, the company, sold me the flight. And well, that's the last time I'm ever flying United is kind of where that went. Yeah, that was not the response. That wasn't the soothing response I needed from that customer service rep. I needed like, oh, I'm so sorry. We'll see what we can do and blah, 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 blah. Fortunately, I did make the connection. Also, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just putting a bit of light blue there because I think it looks cool. I did make the connection eventually. It was very narrow. I did have to run across Newark Airport to make that connection, but yeah, that was fun. It's like, hey, I'm panicking and almost having a panic attack here. I'm gonna miss my flight. It's like, well, I don't control the weather. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Neither do I, but I like airports, but they're very, very stressful sometimes. All right, so a quick save game reload later, and this flight is finally leaving, which is great. I can't close the stand though, because the next flight that is going to be coming in here is already at the airport, which, I mean, fair enough. There's going to be a lot of flights that have been delayed off of that stand, which is, well, not ideal to say the least, definitely not ideal, but I am going to just, dismiss this flight because I want to close this stand so I can go ahead. I still can't close it because the next flight is still, yeah, on the way. Basically, I want to keep sending these flights away so I can close the stand and have it just repopulate with a bunch of Olympus flights. So it's going to take a second because there's probably a good 5 or 6 flights ahead of this one, but we'll see. I might be completely wrong. I might be able to just sort of close it immediately. Why are you stuck again? Oh, you're not moving because of that flight, probably. Yeah, okay, we're good. So, oh, that's 2 flights on top of each other. Okay, yeah, still can't close it because another flight is on this one again, specifically. But now, thankfully, I have been able to go ahead and close the stand, reopen it, and it is set for Olympus organization, which is perfect. The only problem, of course, is that we don't have any Olympus flights to put on there just yet because they're all still booked for other stands. It's also kind of looking like they might all get shifted onto stand 17. Just looking ahead a little bit here because, well, I guess we'll find out what happens. They might not be able to schedule other flights because they're not available. I really don't know. I'm kind of hoping that we're going to be all right with this. I'm hoping the flights will move eventually. It does mean that this stand is probably going to sit empty for a little while, which isn't necessarily ideal. But in fairness, looking at this, we have 4 Olympus flights that are all going to be in the ground at the same time up here. So I would imagine that given time, it'll figure it out and we will be able to get plenty of flights on this stand as well as plenty of people into the aircraft lounge or the airline lounge. The other question I have then is, do we have any other airlines that we could mess with and give them their own stands and thus their own lounge? Now, if I go and have a look at the economy and I look at contracts and we sort by airlines, we have Nordic. Nordic tend to be pretty good at what they do. We have Maple down here, which is interesting because that's 3 different types of maple is what that is. That's maple, maple regional, and maple vintage, I'm pretty sure. So that's fun. That's always good. I do like the idea of getting maple. I think I am going to accept maple flights. I'm also kind of thinking Air Strata or Swiftly could be kind of interesting. I might go for Swiftly because they have a fleet of Boeing 737s and a 757. So I think we'll go Swiftly. And I think what I'm going to do is assign this to Maple. And I think I'm going to assign this to Swiftly is what I'm going to do. So we're going to have all of these stands assigned to specific airlines. And because they're set up to, it's only 1 stand per airline, my hope is that we can eventually, do I want to close these stands as well? I kind of do. I kind of do. I want to get that stand sort of cleared out completely and ready for Swiftly flights to come in here. I would like to do the same with you. This might be silly, but I want to do this. I want to get the Maple flights in here as quickly as we possibly can. So close you and reopen. And what we're also going to do is go in with some decorations. So Olympus organization, for example, this has to be placed on either inside or on a sidewalk. That's unfortunate. Okay. We'll go here is what we'll do. And apparently that doesn't work. Okay. Let's do this or this. That looks a little odd. I don't know if I love that. Does that look better? It does a little bit. Okay. So that's going to be Olympus organization. That's going to be Olympus organization. This one is Maple and the other one is Swiftly. So we'll go in here and we want to get the Maple logo, the regular Maple logo, which is this guy. And then Swiftly is just a bunch of text, so it fits right there. And that seems good. I like that. We can get them some lounges, potentially, maybe some smaller lounges than this guy because Olympus has the 2 stands. We're also going to need to color coordinate these, which is going to be slightly tricky, but I'm kind of looking forward to it, is what I'm doing. I'm also slightly concerned that I think we scheduled our only offered Maple flight on, oh no, it is on the Maple stand. I'm an idiot. We're good. That's nice. Okay. I'm a little bit less worried. We also have an Olympus flight scheduled for their second stand later on as well, which is great. So do I want to do more aircraft stands or airline lounges? That's the word I'm looking for. I think I do. We have this space down here. So this would be a wall, which means this would be, I don't know what size that's going to be. That's okay. You know what? I'm building some terminal is what I'm doing. This is not going to be as big as the other lounge, but I'm going to have some fun with this is what I'm going to do. Now, I think when it comes to these spaces, what I'd like to do is just one big lounge there, one big lounge there. And we're going to say that this one is going to be for Maple and this one is going to be for Swiftly. So both of these are going to be assigned to those airlines. We are going to need to go in with some desks, and I'm kind of thinking we go a little bit smaller scale because we don't quite have the same amount of room to work with. So let's do this. I think that'll be okay. And we'll do the same on the other side. We're kind of just doing a mirror image thing here. So we're going to do a wall right there, and I'm kind of thinking we do... I want to say we could do a wall here as well for the staff to sort of get into this area. I think that would be okay. So I'm going to give them like a little... I'm going to give them something like this. I know we don't need this space over here, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's totally fine. Same story on this side. We want to do this kind of thing and this kind of thing, which is perfect. And then I guess we just go in and say that these are staff zones and staff zones. We can even go so far as putting some doors on there because we have the main room assigned already, which is great. And then the reason I wanted this gap over here is because I can go in with some seating, which I think is important. We're not quite going to go as modern and fancy as the other lounge with its sort of, I don't know, rounder looking seats, I guess. We're going to keep it relatively simple here, but we'll go ahead and get some doors right there and there as well. And we have some windows down here so you can sit, you can't look at the planes, but you can look at cars, which I guess is fine. And you know, I love the idea that on the way in here, you're going to be grabbing yourself some food from the buffet table. I think that's great. And I think that's something I would appreciate at the very least. I do wonder, can I get by any chance some flight info on this wall? I totally can. So you can grab a plate, you can see what your flight's doing. That's all well and good. And then for seating in here, I almost want to just play with couches, I think. We could do some nice big tables in here. I think I'm going to try and avoid that. I think instead what we're going to do is the couches this way. We can still play around a little bit with some hedges in here, but we're not going to go too crazy with that. And honestly, I think that's about all we're going to do in terms of seating in this space. We could go a little bit more. We could do like a little something in here, but I think that's fine. I don't think I want to go too much crazier than that. I think I want to just get some tables into these spaces. So basically, you're sitting next to a complete stranger, whether you want to be or not, if you're going into this lounge, which, if you're me, I hate that idea. I hate that. I really do. That sounds like an absolute nightmare as far as I'm concerned, but it's unfortunately just what we're going to have to be doing with this. It is what it is. I was talking earlier about my trip to Germany, and I don't know how it happened, but on that entire trip, I had a flight from Belfast to Amsterdam, then from Amsterdam on to Germany. I'm also realizing I should move these seats a little bit to be in the middle of the carpet there. I think that would make more sense. So I had this flight I had these flights from Belfast to Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam to a place in Germany. And then on the way back, it was the same thing, but in reverse. It was Germany to Amsterdam and then onwards to Belfast. I was in the window seat on all of those flights. So all 4 flights. No, Belfast all 4 flights, window seat. I picked the same seat every single time, which is something I do. I don't know, am I the only one that does this? If you've got a bunch of flights, you always pick the same seat if it's available on every single flight. So it'll be like 6A, so you're left side of the plane at the window. And then on the way back, you pick the same seat, so you're looking out a different direction. Is that, I might just be me, but that's the thing I do. Anyway, I picked the same seat. It was like 6A the entire time, going and coming back. And not once, and I don't know how this happened, because every single time I was going through the airports, they did that usual absolute nonsense lie that airlines always do. They're like, well, we're operating a full flight here today, so you're going to have to you know, if anyone's willing to check their bags in and blah, 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 blah. And I'm stood there with like a laptop bag and all that. It's like, no, absolutely not. So they do that. And I get on the flight and I sit in my seat and I'm thinking, man, I really don't want to be stuck next to complete strangers, but okay, I get it, whatever. No one. There was no one. There was no one sat next to me on any of them, on any of the flights whatsoever. There was not one, not a soul was sat next to me on any of those flights. I don't know how I got so lucky to manage to get away with that, but not one person was on any of those flights, and it was incredible. I had the entire row to myself. On one of them, there was no one on the other side either. I literally had the entire row to myself, but I at least had the entire sort of my side of the seats to myself several times. It was great. Absolutely incredible time. Really good time with that. It was great. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, speaking of fantastic, these lounges are up and running, which is, well, fantastic. I'm kind of hoping we do have a Maple flight down here, which is great. So you know what we should do? We should try and color coordinate here a little bit. So I want that shade of red, which I think is a bit darker, a little bit darker still, and a little bit more saturated, a little bit darker, a little bit more saturated that way, a little bit brighter. I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty close. I don't need it to be absolutely perfect, but I think that is pretty close for our Maple flights. So now we'll go in and just recolor all of these chairs because obviously I want them to be the right color. Oh, there we go. We got the first Swiftly flight coming in here, and let's be honest, that's pretty close in the color. That's a little too sort of teal-ish, but that's pretty close, man. I very nearly got that right. And that's also a little too teal. It needs to be a little bit more blue, a little bit lighter as well. A little bit more blue that way. Definitely not that way. Oh, I've got it wrong now. I've completely messed it up. I'm so close to getting it, but it needs to be more like there, I think. A little bit more blue. Oh, that's close. I'm determined. I think it needs to be a little paler. A little bit more that way. Tiniest smidge more blue. That's about it, I think. So we're going to paint all the vehicles for this guy that same color. And that looks good. I like that a lot. I do want to try and get some little baggage trucks parked down here constantly, but that looks pretty good. I'm really pleased with that. I don't know if anyone, oh, people are using the lounges. Fantastic. Okay. That makes me really happy. All right. I love this. I really love this. It's very cool. We got the lounges marked as well, which is perfect. This one's being used. These guys are being used. This shop is not gonna last. Can I just cancel your contract? I'm just gonna cancel the contract and go for a cheaper one. We're gonna go for like you is what we're gonna do. Go for a quick stop in there and that'll be fine. Should I change the floor to kind of match the slightly cheaper shop? I almost feel like just the blue tiles around the outside is maybe a little bit better. Just something a little bit lighter in there compared to what they had before. Maybe some, yeah, we'll go for that. That looks a little bit more, I don't know. It looks a little better for what we have in that space now. What are they selling? What is this? That's a bunch of apples, they're selling everything, man. They got suitcases, they got oranges, they got bananas and apples, and I don't know what that is. Bacon, maybe? That's that's my kind of shop, man. 35 sales per day. If we can do that, I'll be very happy. Now, somewhat controversially, I am gonna go through, I think, and start closing the rest of these stands and just instantly reopening them just to completely reset what's scheduled for them. Because my hope is that by doing that, we can go ahead and start moving all of the Olympus flights onto the Olympus stands, which we more or less look to have done here, which is fantastic news. So the 2 Olympus stands are going to be sorted out. I need these guys to all clear out as well so that we can do the same thing with them, which this one, again, perfectly. That's a Crown Airlines flight. We'll go ahead and close this stand and immediately reopen it, which should, yeah, it clears it out, but that's fine. I don't know that we necessarily need to do that with any more of them because by the looks of it, Olympus has moved. Maple is there. Swiftly is here. We don't have that many Maple or Swiftly flights right now. We do have more being offered though, so those will get scheduled in good time. And at the very least, we should now be in a situation where those airlines are going to be relatively happy with me. And that should work out really nicely for us in the long term, which is what we want. I do really enjoy having dedicated stands for these airlines. I think that's really, really cool. I would like to get more stands in here, but what I'm thinking, just before we move to wrap things up for today, what I'm thinking is that we could start working on another airport, because that is a thing we can do. I'm pretty sure if I go to infrastructure, I think we can get, yeah, we can buy a world entrance tunnel. So this is basically what we have down here. This is a world entrance tunnel. So if I wanted to, and we've done this before, this is very similar to what we've done in the past, but if I wanted to, I could build a world entrance tunnel all the way up here, and I could build a world entrance tunnel all the way up here. They're relatively cheap, which is good. We could start working on an airport up here for larger flights. And basically what we could do is build a large runway in here. Now we will have to research this, and that's something we can go ahead and start working on, is the large aircraft permit. It's going to take about a day for that to be done. We could start getting the bigger trailer trucks as well, because I think that makes sense. And we could say that this new airport is going to use concrete just to make it a little bit different, which I'm fine with. My thinking is we build another runway, we build like a big old terminal up here, and we just start building an international airport up here at the top of the map. My only concern with doing this is we have done this before. This is actually very similar, I think, to what I did with the last series of Airport CEO. So I'm not 100% convinced that that's what I want to do, because we can just sort of build like the horseshoe thing where we have planes on this side and this side, they pull in the middle, and I don't want to just repeat what I did last time, but I do think working on something at the top of the map might be a good way to keep making money, so that eventually we can kind of renovate this place, because I'd like to change this up. I like this. I like the idea of almost having the two separate airports, right? This can be changed and expanded sort of outwards to be a more domestic terminal, and then up here we would have the big international terminal. That seems kind of cool. I would just like to make sure that we actually do that instead of just repeating what I did last time, which again, like I said, was just everything up here at the top, a couple of runways, and we go to town that way. So that's my thinking. That's what I think we'll try and do. International big flights up at the top, everything else kind of small down here. We at least have some assigned stands, which I love. I really, really do. I think it looks kind of cool. And I'm really excited that we have all these flights coming and going. Is that an Olympus flight? No, that's what is that? Maple Regional? Maple Express. So yeah, probably Maple Regional. Anyway, as the sun rises on another day at the airport, and as we're now comfortably over $7 million, I think we're going to leave it there for today. We didn't do a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but I do think having these lounges is pretty cool, and I love that we have dedicated stands for 3 different airlines. I just like that. I like that we're kind of a hub airport for Olympus, Maple, and Swiftly. That just seems cool, so hopefully you think so as well. It's what we're doing for now. I think in the next episode we can sit down, and I kind of want to do another small project. I want to get some catering in here. I want to get cabin cleaning in here, and we'll probably start working on building out a little bit of the infrastructure for the international terminal. At the very least, we'll build the giant runway, and maybe we'll let some slightly smaller, maybe the medium planes can land on that as well. I don't really know. We don't really have the need for another runway right now, but it's good because it'll be good for the big airport. Anyway, that is going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.